to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
Yo, Anthony Mackie, ladies and gentlemen, is on Ebro, Laura, and Rosenberg. Rosenberg is on assignment, moving around for the WWE. We got Mama Styles here. We taking time with the bro. How you doing, sir, man?
I'm good, man. How you?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I love the new program. Falcon and Winter Soldier's fire, man. I want to, for the audience that, I know we don't have a lot of time with you today, but for the audience, I love how, the storytelling has evolved. Can you take us into now, Marvel is releasing these series, obviously COVID, I'm assuming slowed down the movies and you guys pivoted and began to make these series like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, or was this always the plan?
No, they announced this in 2018. So this was always a part of the overall plan for the next generation of Marvel shows. So, they didn't just slow down the movies, it slowed down the shows as well. I mean, our show was supposed to come out in 2020, summer of 2020. So then we got pushed back to fall of 2021.
I love also the depth that you're able to do. You guys are able to give us on these shows. I'm kind of a nerd. I recently just rewatched all of the Marvel from the original Captain America all the way through Endgame with my daughter. And then we watched WandaVision. So it's very cool to watch it, to binge watch it actually, and get, a lot more detail, things you might have forgot. I would love to hear about how you guys have worked into the Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's certain things that I've seen, with the black super soldiers and the experimenting on the brother that they showed in this series, and him being angry, and you just coming to the realization as someone who works, for the government, and the Falcon coming to that realization. Was that something that these conversations have always been a part of the making of this series, or has Marvel leaned in more here to make these conversations, which are happening in real life, a part of this?
Well, the ironic thing is the Isaiah Bradley storyline comes from the Truth series, which was a limited release comic book series that came out in the early 2000s, but didn't do well because for one reason or another, it didn't do well, so it went away. Kevin Feige and Nate Moore were very consistent with the idea of where they wanted this series to go. And no matter what the project was, Captain America Civil War, Winter Soldier, they're always steeped and grounded in reality. So they always have some sort of, social compass on where we are as a society today. Right. So this series went right along the lines of that. It's all steeped in reality. And with Stan Lee, when he created, the Marvel universe, it was never a fantasy universe or an idea of them being from other planets and all that stuff. You had your gods and your wizards and stuff, but for the most part, everybody was, just a human with superpowers. You even see that with the X-Men. Right. So that being said, the stories are always steeped in present day reality.
Were you big into comic books coming up?
Nah, that's why I always find it so funny. Everybody's like, oh, I'm a nerd, or oh, I love comic books, or I'm a comic head. And I always said, everybody read comic books. How did all the comic book stores go out of business?
Right. Because I wasn't big in it. I'm into the movies, and that's why I'm asking these questions as somebody who's just watching the movies. I'm not deep in the Marvel verse to catch up on the releases and when this was going to happen. So that's kind of why I'm asking some of these, uninformed questions. But I'm glad you're here with us to, bring us laymen into the mainstream.
No, I'm a layman. My brother was heavy into comic books. Like, my brother had crates of comic books. And I would go in, I know this is blasphemous now, I would go into his room and rip the pages out of his comic books and make airplanes. So I was never that dude. I read the Hardy Boys and, stuff like that. I wasn't into comic books. It was stupid to me.
Wow. Anthony, take us a little bit behind the scenes, right? We get to enjoy the amazing finished product with all the special effects, but how do you train for the movie? Because not only do you have to, dive deep into the script, but tell us about the special effects, like how you prepare for it? How much of the stunts do you do? How does it work?
Well, we do. We have a great stunt team, and it's been the same group of guys since Captain America: Winter Soldier. That we all get together and work on our stunts. I've had the same stunt man since the beginning, who's now retired on me. Now that the going's getting good, he's gonna
Come
retire.
on, son, you can't retire now.
Yo, it's a hard point between the two of us, but he decided to retire, and a lot of my stuff, because it's flying, it's a lot of core work, a lot of lower abdominal back, just really just core work. So he and I will work out every day, focused on core strength, because I'm on wires and ropes and all these harnesses and all this stuff all day, and they're throwing me across the room and shit. So it's always, mine is very different than everybody else's. Everybody else has to learn fights and they do their stuff, but my stunt work is very different.
When you first became a part of the Marvel thing, did you know? I mean, did you guys have any idea, or did you individually even know you would be a part of it this long?
No. I mean, there were a few actors who they were one and dones. They did one movie and they were out. But I never knew what the ongoing process or scale of the Marvel Universe was going to be. I was just excited to be in the one movie. That was the movie Captain America: Winter Soldier. When I asked to be a part of the universe, at that time, the only black comic book hero I knew was Black Panther. Right. So, the idea of playing Sam Wilson, the Falcon, was something that I hadn't thought about at all. So it was a surprise to me when they said they wanted me to play the Falcon.
Did you get it? A lot of times when black actors get these opportunities, the super nerds who also happen to be racist come out of the woodworks and have some, negative energy. Was any of that thrown your way?
No, not at all. And if it was, I didn't see it. I don't pay attention to it. Racism to me is like a foregone conclusion. Like, it's there, but if you don't pay attention to it, is it real?
Right.
It's just one of those things that I never seem to notice. And I scoff in the face of racism. So it's it was never something that crossed my desk or something that was brought to my attention.
When the Black Panther film was released, obviously rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I'd love to ask you about that relationship and just what he meant, to just and that movie, but specifically Black Panther. How much did you feel an elevation of the entire Marvel world? Was that felt also? Did not necessarily box office or anything like that, but just level of interest in everything?
No. What's interesting, I don't think Black Panther changed the Marvel world. I think Black Panther changed the cinematic universe. What they were able to do with that character, and what Chadwick Boseman was able to bring to the screen, completely changed the notion and the idea that black films were not viable overseas. Because that's the lie that they've always told us, where it don't make sense to have a black dude the lead of a movie, because if we do, nobody will watch it overseas because they aren't interested in black people overseas. Even though Alvin Ailey is the number one dance company all over the world. Hip hop is the number one music all over the world. But when it comes to film, nobody seems to figure out that, you can't make a movie with a black person. Even though, and they say Will Smith is a fluke. They say Tyler Perry is a fluke. Denzel's a fluke. Samuel Jackson's a fluke. Morgan Freeman. I'm like, that's a lot of fucking flukes.
Facts.
So, what Marvel was able to do with Black Panther not only changed the scope for comic book movies, but it changed the entire scope of the cinematic universe as we know it. So now the doors are open for more opportunities, not just for, people of color, but we see it with women. I mean, if women are in the game right now.
Yeah, facts. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but the first time I saw Black Panther, I forget which Marvel was that. Was it Infinity War? When
The first time you
the first
saw the
time we
character?
see him, where you guys are fighting at the airport and all that, where
Oh, yeah. That was Civil War.
Civil War, yeah. I don't know about you, but when you saw that, did you go, hoo, 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 this looks fire, son? This looks fire, son.
Oh, I mean, because every year we do this thing, D23, where they come out and they announce the Marvel slate and they say what's going to be what and who's coming out. And, we got a sneak peek of who and what Black Panther was going to be. And we all knew it was going to be amazing. You can go back when I first joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and, I said then that the most important film that could be made at that point was Black Panther, because you would touch every marketplace around the world and everyone would endear that character. The same thing with Wonder Woman. Yeah. I said those two movies needed to be made because people need representation on screen.
Yep.
I'm not a film executive, but I did go to business school for 2 days. So, you know what I mean? So that being said, when that movie came out, and when you saw what that character was turning into, everybody knew it was something special. I mean, and casting somebody like Chad, you knew he was going to do something special with it.
Anything, I know it's still painful for a lot of y'all that worked intimately with Chadwick, and I see his wife even obviously super close with the NAACP awards. Excuse me. She was very emotional talking about what that meant to Chadwick Boseman, but would love to hear just, you and being on set and working with, another Black man, and you guys being in these blockbuster films like this and really, as you just pointed out, changing the cinematic world.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I've known Chad since 1999 was when we met in DC at Howard University. So I've known him a long time, and I was blessed to be able to share many different experiences in our careers and growth of our careers together. And the one thing I can say about him is he did it the right way. Like, we have so many people that as a parent, you have so many people who sell our kids lies and tell them, oh, you can be whatever you want to be, and you can go to whatever college, you should go to college and learn, and you should blah, 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 blah. But as soon as it comes time for them to go to college, there's nobody there to support them or look out for them and make sure that opportunity is there for them. And one thing that I love about Chad is he did it the right way. He studied his craft. He went to school and learned what it meant to be a thespian, but not only a thespian, a performer of his arts. He studied theater as well as film, as well as classics, as well as contemporary. That's why he could play Thurgood Marshall, as well as Black Panther, as well as a football player in the movie with Kevin Costner. He could do all that stuff. That's why he could play Ma Rainey. That's why he could play Levy in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, because he had the experience of knowing who August Wilson was. Yeah. So, he did it in the way that should be celebrated and applauded, especially as a young Black man. We should look at that and realize that he wasn't just some person who ran to Hollywood and said, make me famous. He took the opportunity to learn what it was to be a thespian and an actor. And I think that's what made him so special when you look at his work. So we can't take lightly the 10 to 15 years of work he put in before he was discovered.
That's right. Yeah, right. Also, and speaking of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, a very important film, getting its acknowledgement, and her story as an entertainer in America, as so many times in American history, our art forms and our expressions commoditized. You also were a part of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as well. That film getting its acknowledgement is very meaningful. I'd love to hear from you about that, because just who she is to Black music and Black America, and what she represents even to women, is very important.
Well, I think if you look at that period in time and the women, the women in music at that time, Ma Rainey was a play, an existing form of, Bessie Smith and the Women of the Such at that time. So August Wilson kind of did something that we don't talk about enough and we don't celebrate enough. And he was a dear friend of mine. I knew him for a great period of time. and his plays should have been made into movies. You know, it's kind of sad that we had to wait for him to pass away for him to get his just due.
Right.
You know, those plays have been around since the 80s. Why did it take 30 some odd years to finally get a film made of Fences, to get a film made of Ma Rainey? You know, these are prolific stories in an amazing 100-year scope of the Black experience in America. So it's great that, you know, kudos to them for doing the movie. It's great that Ma Rainey was acknowledged for the masterful piece of work that it is. But yeah, as Black actors, we have to lend our celebrity to make sure that those plays are turned into films. And it might give us a wonderful experience of seeing Denzel and Eddie Murphy and Will Smith all together in one movie.
Right. And it feels like that now with so many outlets for content. That's something that's actually, it feels like it's changing, where, you know, individuals like yourself, you mentioned Denzel, Will Smith, have not only the access to the money, Tyler Perry with his own studio facility, access to the money, but can green light these things and really make these a moment in history.
Well, you have to look at what goes into the idea of a project being greenlit. Okay. So the reality of it is this: if you're Matt Damon, if you're Leonardo DiCaprio, if you're Will Smith, Hollywood has become a business of passion projects, right? So everything you do, it's your passion to do it. I'm trying to get my movie made. So if you're one of the big stars, your passion is everybody's passion. Mm. But if you're just a B-level actor who's really enthralled with a project and want to get it made, your passion is your passion.
Right.
So you have so many agents and so many people in the way stopping these projects. Like their joy in life is to tell you no. That's what they wake up every morning with a heart on, like, ooh, who I'm gonna tell no today? You know what I mean? So the problem is we let so many people get in the way of us creating our content that it's almost impossible to get a movie made. You have to fight with so many lawyers, so many agents, so many industry people, so many friends who are jealous of you, who want the job that you got, but they can't do what you do. And it just becomes a melting pot of ridiculousness that makes it damn near impossible for your passion to be everyone's passion.
Anthony Mackie, also Altered Carbon, seems like a huge success. Also on the other side, a lot of people are picking up on that. You started, I think that's in season 3 now. 2.
No. They just had 2 seasons.
And it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was coming back again.
No.
How was that for you? That a whole different storyline, a whole different depth.
It was the only thing that was hard about Altered Carbon was being in Vancouver for 6 months. It was have you ever read Dante's Inferno?
No, I have not read it.
Okay.
I have not
read
it.
Dante's Inferno is a book that basically outlines the 7 different layers of hell. If you would like to experience the 7 different layers of hell, take Anthony Mackie's black ass and put him in Vancouver for 6 months. It was literally purgatory and damnation like I had never consumed in my life. When I made it out of, it was, show you how crazy it was. One night, I'm sitting on my porch, and I smoke cigars. So Vancouver, there's a law that you can't smoke within 200 feet of a building. So you have to go in the middle of the street, down an alley, and hide behind a dumpster to smoke a cigar. But you can do drugs everywhere. Everybody's on drugs. There are drugs everywhere. There's a whole street called East
I heard about that.
They have that in Seattle too. Everyone's doing crack.
They have that in Seattle too.
What?
Out in the open. What you doing? Crack. Everyone's doing crack. But I can't smoke a cigar, right? So I'm sitting on my porch one night, and an owl like this big lands on my railing, and the owl looks at me. So I'm
like, why are you smoking a cigar? The owl's on duty. The owl was like, yo, bro, you're not supposed to be smoking a cigar.
You're not supposed to be smoking. Yo. I was like, I got to get out of here. But the experience was amazing. We had a great work experience. We had a wonderful crew and cast. I was fortunate enough to be able to recommend people who were casting the show who showed up and did amazing work, like Simone Missick. It was just a great opportunity to do sci-fi, and my first time doing a limited series. But Vancouver, man, and then I'm sitting in Vancouver. It's 40 degrees and it's raining. I turn on the TV. They're playing golf in Toronto. There's a whole golf tournament. The Formula One race is in Montreal, right on the other side of the country, and I'm in Vancouver.
Well, see, they didn't want you to be distracted, bro. They wanted you to
you
focus
needed to
on
be
work.
focused.
They needed you to focus on Altered Carbon in Vancouver. And shout to the nice people of Vancouver. There is a bit of a cultural void there. It is a cultural
Dante's
vortex.
Inferno, dog. If you want to experience it, take a black dude and put him in the middle of Vancouver. Good luck, kid.
Anthony, I think we've enjoyed you in so many projects, but I just remember the day that we all saw the Black Mirror episode.
We had full combos. We had full
the
combos.
next
Like,
day,
yo,
we were
so is he gay? Is he not gay? Or did he like what? Like, we had full combos. Full combos.
We were so perplexed the next day, and we were trying we all had our theories, but I'm just curious, what went through your head when you first read the script?
What's interesting? When I read the script, I was really surprised. I love doing things that people don't normally think of or do. I think I've built my resume and career on doing things that are a little bit outside the box. But with Black Mirror was so interesting when I read it, the idea of like me and my boys instantly came into mind. Mm-hmm. Because think about it this way. The first thing that happens, you hanging with your boys, y'all out having a good time. When the phone ring and it's your girl, you're like, oh, shit. Or you go, yo, everybody shut up. It's my girl. Don't say nothing because she's going to make me go home. Right?
Right.
So the idea of, and I won't even call it the bromance because I think that's like a anti homophobic slur that's been put on the idea of two men being friends.
That's right.
But there's an understanding that goes into the conversation of fun, of just a group of dudes being together.
That's right. A fellowship.
That is literally stepped on and shit on by women on a minutely basis of every day. So that being said, you have this dude who, and I know she do it too, you have this dude who's in a great relationship, beautiful wife, beautiful house, beautiful career, but that happiness is not there. And what happened if you can find that relation? Because, they weren't gay. They weren't in a relationship together. It was just that soulful happiness that you find, that camaraderie that you find within dudes that they acted out in a cyber reality.
Right. Well, and then they kind of fell in love though, because the
So wait, you don't love your boy?
No, I'm saying you love your boy. I love my boys.
Do you love your boys?
Yes, I love my boys. But I'm saying y'all. But in Black Mirror, and this is I'm not saying it's a slight on it. I'm saying they even had to question like how much do we love each other? Do I? Right. You know what I'm saying? Do I love you the way I love my woman, or the way that I wait? And I love that it caused the question. We enjoy it. Still to this day. Our boy who's on the show, who tends to be a little more homophobic than the rest of us, who we've been working for years to like be more accepting and understanding of people and humans and their choices and not be so judgmental, to be like,
He's progressed a lot.
He's progressed a lot. We've made progress with him. But he still brings up the show in detail. Matter of fact, when we was preparing for this interview, he remembers so much about the show, more than I did about the episode, that I go to him, bro, are you sure you know enough about yourself? Because you are so moved by this show that I think you need to sit down and do some unpacking.
It bothered him so much.
It calls some interesting things into question because if you play the video game, you look at the video game, and one of my favorite lines in the show is when Yaya said he fucked a polar bear or something. Like, to me, it took us a half an hour just to shoot that line because we're sitting there crying, laughing every time he said it. But the reality of it is, if you can find a chick that looked like J-Lo with the cool out sentiment and sensibility of your boys, you would never leave the house.
That's a perfect relationship.
You
Yo,
would
and,
never
and by the way,
months.
we get to fight in the video game and then have sex.
And then have sex. Come on.
Man,
come
it
on.
was so mind blowing. Especially, I remember the scene when your boy leans over to you and said something about, you want this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it was just like, what?
Well, the funny thing about, because originally when it was written for two white guys. That's when the director came on board and was like, well, maybe it'd be interesting to do a biracial relationship. And then in the course of our conversation, the director brought up the idea of, homosexuality in the Black community. And, we talked about the stigma that goes along with it. And what does that mean in our society for a Black man to be gay? And look, regular little white dude, he was like, what if we have two Black guys? Like, how much would that break people's brains if these were two Black guys? What conversation would come? And that's why it's so amazing to hear you say that y'all were just, enamored with the conversation, because that's exactly what we wanted. There has to be that conversation in order for people like old boy that you work with, in order for them to move forward.
Right.
Sincerely.
Right. And there's so many obstacles in it, right? In the Black community, right? You have the religious obstacles, the hypermasculine obstacles, and then if you come from a certain cultural community within the Black community, whether that's Caribbean or, wherever you come from, you have all these cultural hangups too, where even the exploration of the conversation causes discomfort, which is bananas.
Right. 100%. But that's where I feel generational education becomes important. Growing up in the South, being homophobic is just part of the learning tools of elementary school. But once I got to college, or once I got to college here in New York, my roommate was gay.
Right.
So, you're in a college dorm room, you're basically in a 15-foot by 10-foot cell with two twin beds and a dresser, Right. So I got a gay dude sleeping 3 feet from me.
Right.
Yeah.
So over the course of that year, there's a lot of understanding and conversation and change that not only went into me, but that went into our relationship.
Right.
And that's why I think the generational change is important. If we can cut off that ignorance with our generation and not teach it to our kids, it makes an episode of Black Mirror like that very important.
Right. Listen, Anthony Mackie, there's so much we could cover with you, and I just wanted to celebrate you and celebrate the work that's happening on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Tell Bucky we said what's going on, my guy. You know what I mean? Chill out. You know what I mean? Calm down. You know what I'm saying? We don't need him triggered by those words anymore. You know what I mean? We need him to calm it down. I'd love to ask you on the way out, the Falcon character, I'm interpreting that because they continue to kind of him giving the shield to the government, basically to put it in a museum. Bucky is clearly disappointed. But the Falcon felt like he was doing the right thing. And I guess, and we're basically at that point in the show where he's questioning, did I do the right thing? It feels like there's an air of, the Black soldier, Black folks always wanting to do the right thing, and the government continuing to disappoint us when we do the right thing. That's what I'm picking up from it. Are you?
That's a very good pickup, and that's a part of our daily reality.
Right.
It's the big every time when I first got the scripts for this show, and I met with Malcolm Spellman, our writer, who literally took this shit to a whole different process and ball game of thought. I don't think anyone would have the balls to do what he did with this series, because he added no fluff, he added no popcorn. All the jokes and gimmicks you see in the show is me and Sebastian goofing around.
Right.
What Malcolm gave us was like some generational hard-hitting shit. Right. And because of that, I think that's why the show is so balanced. But for me, when I read the scripts, it raises the question: how do you fight for a nation that's never fought for you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Sam is at the beginning of the show, and that's what he's trying to work through. As a black man in America, there's never been, just as a African American,
talk about it.
There's never been that moment of I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happens if Joe Biden comes out and literally apologizes for slavery? What happens if George Floyd was apologized for, Breonna was apologized for, all of the hardships, all of the insecurities, all of the things that's been placed in front of us, all the obstacles? What if there was, I'm sorry?
That's right.
And this is, so how do you fight for it? How do you stay in an abusive relationship when you see that there's no light at the end of the tunnel? It's constant abuse at constant times, constantly every day. So at what point does that abuse kind of define and dictate your reality?
Well, and even deeper, Captain America had got frustrated with the government,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he wanted to give up the shield in the first place and basically die.
Die. No. He wanted to go back and live with his girl.
Well, he wanted to go back and live with his girl, but ultimately where it picks, I mean, he's older. He wanted to age. And so he basically is like, look, I'm done. And so the last time we see him, he's what, 80 something years old?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now Bucky is looking at Sam like, don't you know that you weren't supposed to allow this shield to get in the hands of the government again?
Yeah, no question. And that's where I feel like the drama comes in between the two of them, because, at no point did Sam give the shield up for them to re-indoctrinate someone else as Captain America.
That's right.
But at the same time, you see now what's the problem with the shield, with that moniker. If you give someone complete power, they get corrupted completely.
That's right.
So that's where we've left off with the show, and where Sam now, the next 2 episodes is when, for lack of better words, is when shit gets real.
Okay. Well, let's not spoil it. Let's not spoil it.
No, not at all. Because what I'm excited about is, in this show, there's no bad guy. Even when you look at the Flag Smashers, what they're doing, coming from New Orleans post-Katrina, being called a refugee by the country that I was born and raised in, the idea of what they're doing is right.
That's right.
Coming out of COVID, we're going to have to find our new normal, just like us coming back from the blip in the MCU. So it's not that they're bad guys. It's not that their beliefs and what they're doing is wrong. It's just the way they're going about it.
That's right.
Is wrong. And that's what Sam keeps saying. So, this is where the show starts to take that notion head on and really starts to move forward with it.
Anthony Mackie, salute, sir. Thank you very much.
You, sir.
Hope to have you back sometime. We'll be reaching out.
Nah, no doubt. Let me know.
Thank you very much, man. Take care.